Hey, you guys come in real quick. I don't plan on being long tonight. No, that's a serious statement. I really don't plan on being long. So come on in. Come on in. I want to do a quick pop up. Something that's just been kind of just brewing in my spirit since I woke up this morning. Really, it started out yesterday, um, and just stirred something up in me. And I just believe that this is going to be something that really blesses you if you take heed to this specific thing. And I didn't know whether to put it on Unfiltered Honey. I didn't know whether to put it on Unmuted Man, because it fits everything right now. It fits everything that the Father is saying, everything that He's saying in every place that I'm in. So just really want to share really quickly. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Y'all come on in. I'm going to give you maybe about 2 more minutes to get in. I know it's late, but some of y'all are late birds. And instead of watching all the other stuff you're watching, come on, jump on and let's talk about this just for a brief moment. A brief moment. I, this thing really stirred something in me today. And like I said, it started out yesterday. Um, and I just really want to share. Hey, Tish, I love you. I really just want to share this thought with you guys tonight because I think it's really going to bless you. Um, I wrote it in my notes, and I'm going to say it the best way that I can to you this evening. But the truth of the matter is, as it pertains to relationships, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about relationships. As it pertains to relationships, one of the slickest ways that the adversary can get to you is through voids, right? Okay. But one of the very particular voids that he accesses often with people is the void of you needing something. Now, I'm going to break this down for you just a little bit because the way that the Father said it to me, I'm going to attempt to say it to you that way. And if I don't say it completely 100%, I'm going to say it again on another broadcast. I'll say it again. But what he said was, he said, people are judging things the wrong way. Relationally, you don't judge people by what they do for you. You should judge people. I love you more. You should judge people by the Spirit of God. See, many of you, I'm so glad you caught me too. Many of you, one of the biggest relational errors that you've been making, one of the biggest relational errors that you've been making, you've been trying to put your finger on it, trying to figure out what is this reason that I keep running into this same situation. Why do I keep running into the same person with a different face? The same person, right? It's because there are specific ways that the adversary has been accessing you. So first of all, you need to identify how he's accessing you. And the only way you identify that is in the presence of God. You don't identify outside of Yah's presence these things. This is something that in his presence you identify. Why? Because the Holy Spirit leads and guides us into all truth, correct? Well, if the Holy Spirit lives on the inside of us and gives us the mind of God, then we don't really have to do much trying to identify what's going on. We just have to allow the Holy Spirit to lead us and to guide us to the truth. But in order for you to be led and guided to the truth, you have to want it. A lot of people don't want the truth because if the truth be told, you have done this over and over again. If the truth be told, you have used more people than you have loved. Uh-oh. Did I say that? You've used more people than you have loved. You thought you loved them, but you loved what they did for you. You love the way they make you feel. Now understand, I'm not saying that when you love, when you're in love and you have a proper partner, that you don't enjoy and you don't derive pleasure and joy out of what your partner does for you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying many of you have, and I think I talked about this a little bit the other day, but I didn't speak about this specific thing. You've created a love thing, a love circle around what people do for you. Um, this is another thing that the Father began to talk to me about, because I'm noticing this is a thing that's popping up in this season with a lot of people. I'm hearing this conversation a lot, and I'm talking to people personally who have this issue, but they don't really identify the fullness of the issue. The truth of the matter is, we love to say, I've been really mindful about what I say about people, because this is the honest to goodness truth. You can't just judge it by what you see on the outside. Judging the character of people, judging who people are, is a spiritual thing. It's not something that's natural, because you're going to find all of the reasons naturally why you should like this person, why you should be connected. You'll find all of the natural reasons, and it doesn't matter if it's family. You'll find all the reasons why you should be connected and why you should stay connected, right? I hear people say this all the time. I heard somebody say it today, as a matter of fact. This person has a good heart, or this person is a sweet person, or this person is a nice person. Until, right? Until they say something all the way sideways, until they go all the way left, and now that person is no longer that person anymore. No, that person was never that person. But see, here's the thing. I'm not just talking about stuff you want to hear or stuff you like to hear, because a lot of people in this season, they really just want some feel-good stuff. They want to connect to feel-good people, people that make them feel good. Even if you jacked up, even if you messed up, you don't want nobody to tell you that that's the situation, because as long as you are having the fantasy or the false imagination that everything is good, that's where you want to be. You love to live in the matrix. That's where you love. That's the place that you love to be, is in the matrix. I'm talking about people who genuinely love truth. And I said this to somebody I love today. The real situation about truth is, you will identify people that love truth, because when you tell people the truth that love truth, they're not mad at you. Now, they might feel some kind of way about, it might hurt their feelings for a moment, but they're not mad at you. They're not bent out of shape. They're not frustrated about it, because they love truth. Many of you have grown to love the lie. You've grown to love the lie. And that's just the truth. You have grown to love the lie so much. And this is why I say, I have no doubt in my mind that the father of lies, Hasatan, I have no doubt in my mind. I used to wonder about it, and I used to say stuff like, he's just trying to take as many people with him. Of course he is, because misery loves company. However, he really is convinced that he can overthrow the Father. After all of these eons, after all of this time, after all of these generations, right? He still believes. And there are angelic agencies that believe in him. That's why they keep falling. They're going to continue to fall, because the Father gave them free will just like he gave us free will. And as far as they're concerned, the way things are looking right now, it looks like at times that he's winning, like he has an edge, like he has an upper hand, right? Okay, let me go back, because I don't want to get too far off into that, right? The truth of the matter is, and I told y'all I wasn't going to be long, and I meant that, probably going to be 15 minutes tops, unless my sister Tisha going to come on with me tonight. If she's going to come on, and you don't have to come on by camera, sis, if you're already in your bed attire, you don't have to. But if she decides to come on, then we'll be here for a few more minutes. However, many of you are judging people by what they do for you, not by who they are. So when they stop doing things for you, then they become the devil. Now they become this or that. No, you got to know who people are, so you'll know how to function accordingly in relationships. And that's just period. Now, I've had some situations relationally, but I recognize that the person that I was dealing with was always that person. This was the other word that he said. He said, people will be whatever they need to be long enough to get from you what they want. I think I mentioned that the other night. People will be whatever they need to be long enough to get out of you what they want. Doesn't mean that's who they are. That's why you have to be a good judge of character. Matter of fact, you have to be a Yah judge of character, a God judge of character. Not just a good judge of character, but a God judge of character. In other words, you have, You come on, sis. You can come on without your camera. You have to be. I'm not. I mean, I ain't got to make makeup and stuff tonight either. But you have to be a God judge of character, because often you heard what it was from jump. You just, whether you're male or female, you romanticized it because there was something that you wanted out of this deal. So because there was a mutual want, the thing about it is you didn't identify the fact that the other person's want was sinister and yours wasn't. I don't know how to say this. Is it not? It's not necessarily sinister for you to want to have a place to live, right? That's not necessarily sinister. That you wanting to have a place to live doesn't mean that you have ill will or that you have anything against the person. You understand what I'm saying? But there are people who will give you a place to live because they're trying to access you in another way. They will give you space. They will say, I love you. And I don't want you to be in a certain situation or a particular space. And I'm speaking from experience right now, right? Somebody that said that they love me in another season, and I don't want you to be in this space because you don't belong in this space because of who you are and because I love you. So I'm going to move you out of this situation that you're in. The space that you're in, you should not be there because of who you are. You're a woman of God, and you got to be able to have the flexibility and the freedom to be who you are. You shouldn't have to worry about how you're going to do this or that or the other. So I want to remove that burden from you, right? But then turn around and do something different, as if you're supposed to be okay with all the different stuff that's going on. But see, the thing about it is they accessed what they wanted. It was a conquer situation. I'm not saying, I'm not saying, I'm not even going to say period. Okay? It was a conquer situation. Now, in the midst of that, at the beginning, it's somewhere in the midst of that, I'm not saying that they might not have really caught the bug. Okay? But when you don't deal with yourself, when you don't deal with the appetites that you have, when you don't deal with yourself, then it's diabolic because you have to face the truth of the matter and say, you know what, it's not that I didn't like the person. I really was after something. I wanted something from them. And I wanted to know that I could get it. Right? Okay. You've got to understand that there are things that you might need that somebody could provide for you, but them providing it for you, they have a sinister idea behind it, sinister concepts behind it. It's meant to set you back, not to push you forward. Sometimes if you just stay in the space that you're in and work your way through that space, you'll be better off than connecting with people that don't have your best interest at heart, really. They just want something from you. One of the things that I identified relationally is that I have brought more to relationships than they brought to me. That's across the board. And that's not to say that people haven't brought things. That's not to say that they haven't done anything. But here's the difference. When I left them, when we separated, when we went our separate ways, they didn't have to start over. Hello? Because they were connected to me, I positioned them based on my favor. They were positioned to continue, but I had to start over. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Listen, this is so important. This is so important that you guys catch this. You cannot judge people's character by what they do for you. It's a lie. Anybody can do things for you. Do you know that the drug cartel can bring turkeys to the hood, but that doesn't mean that they're not killing people still? Do you know that the mob could do Christmas gifts for kids and still be killing people? Are you understanding what I'm saying? So you must. I'll probably talk about this some more because this is facts. A lot of you have been miscalculating your relationships because you've been basing the relationship's success and the relationship's health off of what someone has done for you, not based on who they are. Because see, doings come from beings, right? But people can do because they're acting. They're being an actor. Are you listening to what I'm saying? They can do because they're being an actor. That doesn't necessarily mean that being that they're being is authentic. It could be an act. It could be an authentic act, but doings come from beings, okay? Doings come from beings. And you got to know that. So you've got to determine if the doing is coming from their authentic being or if the doing is coming from their acting being. Yeah. You got to determine that. You have to. It's so important that you do that in this season. This is not a time for y'all to be misfiring relationally. This is not a time for you to be misconnecting relationally. You can't afford it. And this has nothing to do with age, clocks ticking. I don't even talk about that kind of stuff. Age and clocks ticking ain't got nothing to do with how the Father functions or how he operates. That means nothing. That means zero to him. What means something to him is that people are coming together for the purpose of him being glorified. And when we talk about intimate relationships, okay, the purpose of covenant intimate relationships, according to how he created it, was for the earth to see how he loves those that he's chosen and how he functions inside of the relationship and what he gives inside of the relationship, how he handles himself. That's what the man and the woman's relationship should be reflecting, the love of God, how he loves his children and how his children are to love him. Protection is in that, provision is in that, honor. You understand what I'm saying? All of that is in there. And when people are coming to the table because they're both bringing something, that's different than you coming to the table because of something that you want, something that you're after. So you've got to do two things here. You got to identify what being this is. Is this a being that is acting, or is this an authentic being? And then you got to deal with what you're bringing to the table. Who's bringing what? It's like a they call them potlucks, but I don't like the word luck anyway. But you know, one of those kind of things where everybody's got to bring a dish. Relationship is like that. You got to bring a dish, honey. You can't just come. You can't just come and eat. You can't just come and take. You have to bring a dish. Somebody put in the room, please bring a dish. Please. Please bring a dish. So now you gotta identify those two things, and then you need to measure. You need to measure if you are okay with what's being brought to the table, because you've got to identify if that's something that you're willing to live with. Are you willing to live with what's being brought? Please bring a dish. Please. Relationship is not just come and dine. Relationship is please bring a dish. Okay, what are you bringing? And you got to make sure that that's where that equally yoked thing comes in at. I'm not saying that you have to have the same, because a lot of people like to go the money route. Excuse me, a lot of people like to go the money route when they're talking about relationships. That's not necessarily the angle that I'm coming from right now, because you can your mate can identify you, and you guys can identify one another and not have a whole lot, but know that what you both possess has building capability, it has building potential, and you can look at each other's, you can look at his plan, he could share that plan, and you could look at it and say, oh, this lines up with this and that, you know what I'm saying? And then you're making a decision, an intelligent decision. This is good, right? But you've got to be willing to go through that process where y'all don't have a whole lot at first. And if you're not willing to go through that process, this ain't for you, because it's not just about what you're taking, it's what you're giving, right? And I talked about this the other day, really important, that we are wired to be saviors, but you must identify, and you must identify who you're doing that for, because this is how we wind up with the same people with different faces, because we keep trying to save the same person. It's the being, it's a specific being that you keep trying to save, and you need to identify what that being is so you can want to save, don't want to save that being no more. You know what I'm saying? Back away from that. Yeah, back away from that, because that's the thing that keeps coming at you. That's the thing that keeps coming for you, right? The same specific thing. You got to put yourself in different rooms. You got to put yourself in a different position. You got to read more. You got to do something different, because you need to become. Because as you honor and as you respect and as you love who you're becoming, you're not going to connect with something that is not becoming of what you're becoming. that has no purpose in what you're becoming, that just doesn't fit with what you've become. You're not going to try to dilute yourself in order to be in this relationship. That's a mistake. That's a big mistake for you to dilute yourself. And while a lot of people, and I'll talk about this again later, while a lot of people are talking about the 21st century woman, let's talk about the 21st century man. We're going to talk about that on the Unmuted Man. Let's talk about that, because that's the real problem. It's not the woman that's the problem, because the man is the root cause of the issue and always will be. I can guarantee you, if you see a disgruntled woman, I can tell you there was some old lousy man that she responded to and never got healed from that. And now this is where she is. This is who she is. Because she gave herself to some old lousy man who didn't have her best interest at heart. You understand what I'm saying? And she wasn't mature enough to recover. So this is who she's become based on this lousy man that she connected herself to. Could have been her lousy daddy or lousy uncles or brothers. It could have been a number of things, right? But the issue in the earth, it stems from the man. It's the same thing that happened in the garden. That thing was not a final deal until Adam took of that fruit, until he began to consume that information, till he began to consume, that activation. It was not a thing until he was the one that was the consumer. When he became the consumer, all bets were off, because Yah spoke to him first. And it was his job to communicate with the woman and to effectively guard her and to guard that garden and to keep and dress and cultivate. That was his responsibility. So I got on here to say this. Don't keep judging people by what they do for you. Don't do that. Judge them by the way of the Spirit, because the Father is always telling us whether somebody is good for us or bad for us. Think about this. Samson. He was judging the thing by his void. He was frustrated about his wife being given away. He was frustrated. He was angry. And so because of his anger, he began to try to start doing other things, just kind of, well, let me go find something. Well, guess what? Now this void is making you vulnerable to a thing that you don't need to have. You don't need to have your head in this lap right here, because this lap was sent to destroy you. And a lot of you, now I'm not just talking to the females, now I'm talking to the men. Y'all have gotten wrapped up and tied up and tangled up in these situations because you needed something. You don't want that to be the case, because you don't want to feel like you're using somebody. But can I tell you something? That might not have been your thought, but it was your heart's intention. See, the Bible talks about the heart being wicked. It didn't say the person was wicked. It said the heart was wicked. A heart that can craft up stuff and make you convinced. Okay, let me give you another example. If you are afraid and there's nothing to be afraid of, your heart don't know that there's no reason to be afraid of. Your heart has been convinced that there's a reason to fear. So because your heart has been convinced, even if there's no signs of danger or anything, because your heart has been convinced, you're going to respond. A lot of people have been doing that. You've been responding to the deception of your heart. You've been responding to the wickedness, to the twisted nature that your heart has come to be because of all of the other situations and because of all of the trauma. Don't judge people by what they do for you. Don't do it. I'm about to get off of here for real. Don't judge them by what they do for you, because they're going to stop doing that at some point. If you're judging a woman just because she's giving you sexual pleasure, she's going to stop doing that at some point. That's why you can't judge her by that. And I'm not saying that that's across the board, that that's how women do. I'm saying that people, and I keep saying this because I don't want you to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm dealing with unauthorized relationships. You getting into unauthorized relationships. You getting wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up in places that you don't need to be, whether you're male or female. The way you keep winding up, getting wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up in relationships that you don't need to be in is because you're judging the thing the wrong way. So when I say, man, if you are basing it off of how good she gave head, and a lot of y'all men, and see, I had to say it, I just wasn't going to hold it back tonight, because I've been looking at that the majority of my life. All it takes is for a woman to give a man good head and he's just in love. He just lost his mind. You only feel that way for the moment because it's all about pleasure. But when you start maturing and your life becomes more than about pleasure, then that's going to be a problem for you because you're going to realize she has nothing else. None of the other qualities that you're going to need as a man. There's no favor there. There's nothing there for you to be able to be thrust into the places that you need to be. The favor that she should be carrying, that you should be receiving, it's not there. Her tank is empty. She give good head though. Right? Sorry, y'all. I couldn't hold it back. It is what it is. Okay? Because somebody needs to talk to y'all. Ain't nobody saying nothing to y'all. Y'all just out here just doing whatever. And ain't nobody saying nothing to y'all. When you could really, identify, if you would just get in the presence of y'all, you could identify what a wife looks like and connect to that, right? And receive the favor from that. The favor and the flavor of that, right? And be content for the rest of your life. Just being satisfied. Just being happy. Just being pleasure. Just having joy. All of those things are real factors relationally, right? But people lie and say stuff like, your wife not supposed to make you happy. Your husband, you say that because you don't make your wife happy. You say that because you don't make your husband happy. That's why you preach that. That's why that's your message. That's not true. Why should you be with someone that doesn't make you happy? Who does that? Who connects to people and is not going to be happy with them? And just stay there. Because who does that? What does that don't even add up. That math ain't even mathing. That doesn't make sense. The reason that you would even decide that this person would be your partner for life is the fact that you're deriving some kind of joy, some kind of pleasure, some moniker of happiness from this relationship. You're recognizing the fruit of the relationship, and that is good fruit. That it not only is good for you, but it's good for everybody else to see. Right? That part. Who does that? People walk around here talking about, your husband not supposed to make you happy. That's because you're a bum. Okay? That's why you preach that. Because you're a bum. And you don't feel like you have a responsibility to your wife. And that's unbiblical. It's unbiblical and you're a bum. Period. Like, end of discussion. From a biblical standpoint, you're worse than an infidel. Because you don't even handle your business. Right? Okay. So, listen. Hey, brother. Right. ... You don't even handle your business. So, at the end of the day, stop judging people relationally. Stop getting into relationships where you are judging the matter because of what they do for you. Because if you judge them for what they do for you and not by the Spirit of God, but that's the problem, because many of y'all been on spiritual vacation for so long, you don't even know that you're on spiritual vacation. You on spiritual vacation with no bags packed, you just on spiritual vacation, okay? And this is why you keep winding up in situations, because you live on spiritual vacation. Hello? You got to wake up. Listen. You got to wake up. You got to stop this mess. Stop this mess. I was restless. I couldn't even go to sleep tonight. I said, somebody needs to hear this. I have to get on the live tonight. Not even my desire. Not even my plan. I keep pushing stuff off. Why? Because I'm tired. Right? I'm tired. But I couldn't go to sleep without saying to you tonight, you've got to judge things properly. You can no longer be a child in your judgment. You've been children in your judgment. You've been judging a thing because somebody gave you your bottle. You think that that's your mama. Somebody gave you your bottle, so now that's your daddy. Right? Well, they could have just been handing you a bottle. It's like if a man opened up a door for you, does that make him your husband? Oh, he's so nice. You don't know him. It was a kind gesture. We've got to change the language. The language is wrong. And that's the twisting of diabolic nature that comes to change the language of how things really are. How do you define a man by being nice? Oh, he's a good man. How do you define him by being good unless you judge it by the Spirit? He could be a serial rapist, and he opened the door just so he could come and talk to you in the store. I got to do better. We got to do better. Y'all, as believers, you got to do better. You have got to do better. They could have a whole van outside the grocery store waiting for you. They just open the door just so you would start feeling comfortable. Y'all get too comfortable too fast with people. I'm not saying be suspicious. I'm just saying stop being stupid. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying be suspicious. I'm saying stop being stupid. Stop getting so comfortable so quick. Give people an opportunity to know something about you. Let them learn you. Stop telling them all the things. Don't give them all the tea. You ain't got to tell them all your family business. Can I tell you something? The last marital relationship I got in, last marital relationship I had, that's how they got me. Because they knew family business. And I really wasn't trying to, I really had a serious situation and I wanted somebody's perspective on it that knew nothing about me, so they couldn't be biased about it, right? So I brought the information to them to see, what do you think about this? What does this look like? You know what I'm saying? And it opened the door. It opened the door. They thought they had access, and they got access. They did. I married them, but they had access because I talked too much. I gave them too much access. Yeah, they knew too much about me. Y'all got to be more mindful. Got to be more mindful. I'm getting off of here. I am getting off of here. I had to get on and tell y'all that tonight. And I might even try to find, no, I'm not going to try to find a note, but I'll play it another time. I just want to make sure I covered the bases. Stop connecting, stop judging people by what they do for you. That goes for men and women. Because it's a lot of men in relationships right now because somebody was doing something for you. You didn't really care for that person. You didn't really love that person. Now, in order not to sound like a bum or a bad person, you want to say that you love or I care, all that foolishness. No, that's foolishness. Stop it. Because this is why y'all don't get delivered. Because you're not honest. You won't tell the truth. Truth is what brings freedom. Truth is what makes free. The lie is what keeps you in chains. The lie is what keeps you bound. The lie is what keeps you comfortable in your situations. The lie is what's going to keep you in a place as a sitting duck until the persons or the people that you say are good people completely show they behind and throw your stuff out a window like Pootie Tang. Are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm trying to help you tonight. We're going into a season where you're going to need purpose partners. You're going to need partners that are purposeful. You're going to need right partners. We're not going into a season, into an era of our life. You don't have another 40 years to try to keep testing waters and all that. You need to, if settling down is what you're going to do, you need to work that out. You need to talk to the Father. You need to work that out, okay? You need to find your partner, man. You need to find your partner, and you need to work that thing out. Because this thing that we about to go into in this world, everybody just living like it's just La Vida Loca. It's not. You have no clue all the stuff that's coming down the pipeline because most of y'all don't read. And I'm not talking I'm not talking to the people that are necessarily on the line because they clearly do something. They up still at midnight. They doing something, right? They listen to me. They do something, okay? But at the end of the day, y'all don't even read. Y'all talking about, oh, I don't read like that, and I don't, and you're gonna be dumb as a box of rocks when all this stuff happens. That's why so many people were accessed diabolically, the way they were accessed in this first round of foolishness, right? For the last 3 years. Caught up. And still calling a cold COVID, still calling the fact that you don't take care of yourself COVID. It's not COVID. Your system is jacked. And it's being hijacked because you won't take care of yourself. It's high blood pressure is not COVID, bro. It's not. Cancer is not COVID. Okay? Diabetes is not COVID. Okay? Listen, I'm just telling y'all, y'all need to stop with this foolishness. Take care of yourself. Make sure your immune system is boosted. Stop trying to do what you was doing when you were 16. You're grown. Okay? You're a full adult. And if you keep abusing your body, your body's going to talk back to you. Period. So now in this season, in this age of things, and not that this hasn't been a thing all along, but it's just increasingly waxed worse and worse. We've got cyber attack. We've got chemical warfare attack. We've got mental attacks, propagandized. They're propagandized. Propaganda is coming from every angle. There are mental wars that are happening. Just with your children and the stuff that they're watching every day, the stuff that you're watching. You're an adult, but you're still watching for entertainment instead of for information. And I don't understand that. Why do you have? I don't even understand how you have time for basketball. I don't. If you're a full-grown adult, I don't see how you have time for basketball and video games. And people say, oh, well, Apostle, everything's not so serious. Everything's not serious, but it's just some stuff that, like, how do you have so much time on your hands? You know what I'm saying? Gosh. Y'all got to get it together. You don't understand. You just don't understand. It's so much going on in the world. And you think that you're in control, and you're not, because you've been controlled. You've been controlled by the food that you eat. And I'm going to save that conversation because I'm going to talk about that on Unmuted Man on Monday or Tuesday. I don't know when it is. Look at my page. It's on there. I don't know. I kept pushing it off. Maybe it's next Friday. I don't know. But just, you're abusing yourself. You got to learn how to love yourself, because there are wicked people out there that have no concern or care for you. And if you think that politically the right person being in office is going to stop any of it, you're a fool. Because they're all on the same team. They got everybody arguing and fighting over color, race, sex, gender, all of these different things. Yeah, they put those things in play. You're not just arguing because you feel like arguing. You have this point of view because it's been enforced in everything you're watching and everything you're listening to. It's been enforced and reinforced, and now you have this fortress. They're all on the same team, guys. Come on, man, wake up. They're all on the same team. They create teams just so you could argue over what's what. And while you're arguing, they're doing all the stuff in the back office to you that you have no clue. Anyway, let me get back to the topic and get off of here. Y'all stop judging people by what they do for you. It's the most childish way to judge something. So distracted with foolishness. It's the childish way to define a thing, is by what people do for you. And again, I'm talking about how you guys relate with people to identify. You can't identify a person by what they do. You have to identify them by the Spirit, because they can change what they do. They can speak well of you today and talk like a dog behind your back tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying? Again, I'm dealing with relationships. Intimate relationships. Of course, it'll fit across the board, but I'm right now dealing with intimate relationships. And why y'all keep winding up in these abandoned ships, calling them relationships, right? It's an abandoned ship. Get out. Get out of there, okay? And assess how you've been doing what you're doing, and change how you do what you do, because you're going to keep getting what you get if you keep doing what you do, right? If you keep being who you be, you're going to keep doing what you do and keep getting what you get, because be, do, and get is all tied together in that order. Promise you. No matter what level you're on, whether we talking about business, relationships, whatever, be, do, and get. That's how it works. You be, you do, you get. So if you be a little, you're going to do a little and you're going to get a little, right? Okay. I love y'all. Get out. Right. Abandon ship. Get out. It's you know what? It's the same thing for these men. Father, you be just putting me in these spots, don't you? Since you said that, sis, you brought it back up, but you said it back to me. it made me think about all of these women that whose husbands are married to the church, but she's trying to be married to him. Blessings, woman of God. But she's trying to be married to him. And you have no idea how many women in ministry are suffering in silence while their husbands make the church their wives. You have no idea how many women need to get out. Say, Apostle Lee, are you promoting divorce? I'm promoting freedom, godly freedom, where there's captivity, and I don't care what that captivity looks like. Okay, captivity is just that. That's what it is. They're suffering silently. They stay with people because of what they can do, even if they're not doing a whole lot. See, comfort is a killer. It's one thing when you're godly comfortable, but you got to be careful about comfort because comfort will kill you. Do you know that you could put a frog in a pot, and if you put that frog in a pot and the water's cool, he'll stay. And all you have to do is keep on turning the water up, and that thing will die in that pot because it just keeps adjusting itself. It's the same way you do. When you make a bath water and it's too hot, you put your foot in, you be like, oh, at first, and then you stick your foot back in, and then that one foot go in, and you kind of put the water up on your leg, and you good. You stick the other foot in, that foot too hot. It's adjustments. It's adjustments, right? You can make an adjustment and be in anything. But the truth of the matter is, are you in the right thing? Because you can adjust to living a lie. You can adjust to being in pain. You can make all kinds of adjustments. And that's what a lot of people have done. They've made adjustments. It can be a trap. Hey, sis, it can be a trap, Tab. Comfort can be a trap. You got to know where the comfort is coming from. The comfort of the Holy Spirit, it leads to truth. See, when you're trying to be comfortable and you know you lying to yourself, that ain't the Holy Spirit. That's not a godly comfort. The thing about comfort is that you will know the difference. Because comfort doesn't force anything either. Okay? All right, I'm getting off for real. I know this is my fourth or fifth closing, but I'm a preacher, so it happens. Get over it and get into it, right? Get over it and get into it. Whether I'm doing unfiltered honey, it don't matter. I do my preacher closings. I'm gonna give y'all at least 4 or 5 closings before I get off. It's just the way it is. Okay, that's just how it works. So I'm glad you guys were on with me. He never said that. He said he would comfort us. That's right. He never said to try to find. We don't have to try to find comfort because the Holy Spirit is a comfort, right? So anybody with the Holy Spirit would be comfort. It don't have to be. You don't have to romanticize that comfort though, because if you romanticize a comfort, that ain't comfort at all. That's a trick. That's a compromise. That's a counterfeit, right? Okay, I love y'all. If you missed it, go back and listen to it, because honey, this thing was pulling on me. I had to get on here and say this to y'all because I've lived through this. I've lived through it. Okay, so I needed to get on and say something to you because I'm seeing it more in this season than I've seen in a little while. And I'm telling y'all right now, it's okay to recognize that you needed somebody for something, and that was really the connection. You got to recognize that, or else you're a child. Not acknowledging where you missed it, because we're all growing. We're going to always be growing. Always. And you don't keep making the same mistake over and over again, right? Because that shows that there's no growth. However, you're going to always be growing as long as you're alive. As long as you're alive, you're going to be growing. And you're going to have to be okay with growing and knowing what you need to know in each season to grow to the next place that you need to grow to. All right? I love y'all. Peace to your house. We will talk soon. This will be up on the podcast. I did not put my podcast stuff up on, but Apple, iTunes, and Spotify, and a bunch of other podcasts are hosting Unfiltered Honey and The Unmuted Man. So go there and see that. Go there and download those podcasts. Go there and make sure that you like it and subscribe and share and all of that. Because it's important sort of put us in a different spot so people can see us that really need to hear the words that we're speaking. Okay. I appreciate y'all. I'm out of here. And good night to you. Good night.